I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a shift in the way in which a growing number of people are pursuing happiness these days. I think there's been a shift in consciousness, and part of this shift is about less being more. It's about the new small footprint alternatives which are being empowered by recent advancements in technology. It turns out that less might just be more. A small footprint may ultimately be a gateway to unlimited possibilities. This is a video about one of those possibilities. There's about 120 miles that separates us from our new backyard in Hanalei Bay on the island of Kauai. When we made the crossing of the Kauai Channel bound for Hanalei Bay, the light to moderate trade wind weather forecast turned out to be small boat advisory conditions. The rougher conditions didn't show up until we were actually in the channel. But at that point, we had no choice but to keep going because turning back would have meant beating into strong winds and heavy seas. When I restored the boat, I intended it to be a permanent home, but at the same time, I wanted to make the boat suitable for offshore sailing in Hawaiian waters, which could be rough at times. For this, I used some relatively inexpensive technologies to make the vessel much better suited for these rougher conditions. I'll talk about some of these technologies in just a moment. Historically, the Kauai Channel separating Kauai from the island of Oahu was the only thing that kept King Kamehameha and his warriors from complete conquest of all of the Hawaiian Islands. Sometimes a formidable crossing, the Kauai Channel turned back Kamehameha's canoes not just once, but twice, and so Kauai would never be conquered by Kamehameha's soldiers. Partly because of this, Kauai is a kind of enigma in the Hawaiian archipelago, very much Hawaiian, and at the same time very much independent. In modern times, it is famous for producing some of the best watermen and women in the world. Names like Andy Irons and Keala Kennelly, for example, have made major impacts in the world of surfing. Unchanged is that Kauai continues to be a hotbed of Hawaiian culture. Possibly one of the most breathtaking places on the island of Kauai is its North Shore. Its Napali coast is enshrined in hundreds of thousands of photographs and videos and is world famous. In the wintertime, the North Shore of Kauai is alive with some of the very best surfing conditions in the entire world. The three ridge peaks extending down from Mount Waialeale greet us as we arrive in Hanalei Bay. When we got there, they were covered in waterfalls. Mount Waialeale itself dominates Kauai and is the wettest spot on Earth, receiving some 450 inches of rainfall every single year. Safely at anchor, our boat is equipped with roll stabilizers that help to dampen the motion of the boat against ocean swells that occasionally find their way into the bay. I mention this because a little later on in the video I will talk about how we acquired much of our equipment for the boat at really bargain basement prices. The stabilizers here, with the bounty of a flea market shopping spree, purchased at a tiny fraction of their original cost. Up ahead, I'll talk more about shopping strategies for equipment and restoration materials, as well as a closer look at some of the technologies that were used to provide invaluable and inexpensive solutions during the restoration process. The sunsets viewed from inside Hanalei Bay are mesmerizing during the summer months as the sun sets over the Napali coast. Hanalei Bay itself is a magical place not only visually, but deep at its spiritual core. It is full of the mana of the Hawaiian people, the history, the legends, and folklore woven together into a profoundly beautiful tapestry. Our time in Hanalei Bay was an amazing experience on many levels. Physically breathtaking and spiritually powerful, there is so much to absorb and appreciate there. Our sailboat started out as a somewhat neglected 27-footer that was manufactured by Catalina way back in the day, I paid around $3,000 for her and then spread the cost and time of restoration out over a 4-year period. I lived on the boat while working on the restoration, and nearly the entire project was completed at the dock without a shop facility or the expense of professional third-party help. The goal was to create a comfortable, inexpensive, permanent home, and at the same time a kind of magic carpet that would take us to some of the amazing destinations within the Hawaiian Island chain, incredible bays and anchorages where we could live and become part of the environment. One of the important priorities for the boat was self-sufficiency, the ability to make all of our own electrical power and fresh water. In other words, being 100% off the grid. Roughly 340 watts of our 700 watt solar power system resides on our do-it-yourself custom solar tower. When we were first exploring the tower option, we got estimates in the $2,000 range from fabricators who wanted to build in standard anodized aluminum or stainless steel. This is a very desirable way to build a tower, to be sure, but way out of our budget. This forced us to come up with another way to build, using essentially a composite of aluminum and epoxy, with PVC tubing being used as a kind of external mold. Since we hadn't seen anyone doing this, we didn't really know how this would work out under real-world sailing conditions. But time and many voyages has shown us that this is a durable and solid solution that cost us a tiny fraction of what the metal fabricators were asking. Making our own water was another one of our requirements. Water maker systems use reverse osmosis to convert salt water into pure, clean, drinkable fresh water. They typically are not cheap, so you have to shop around very carefully or take the plunge and build your own. They're really not that complicated, and looking online you can find plenty of help on putting your own together. We were very lucky in that we found a small footprint water maker made in Switzerland that was deeply discounted by one online supplier. This particular system draws very little power and can be easily run from our solar power system. A dodger protects the main entranceway of a sailboat from the weather, protects the crew from spray, rough seas, and scorching sun, and can be a wonderful place to mount electronics and lighting for convenient access by the crew, especially while at sea. The dodger that you are seeing in this clip was also a DIY project that we built using fiberglass, Luan, which is a kind of lightweight mahogany ply, polyurethane foam, and epoxy resin. We built this very inexpensively compared to purchasing a cloth version of the same thing from a canvas maker. We're talking about thousands of dollars saved. Knowing how to fabricate fiberglass is absolutely magic. Here are some before and after shots of the interior. The wood surfaces that you are seeing here are also made with Luan, that inexpensive mahogany ply I mentioned earlier. Luan makes a very beautiful and durable finished countertop and tabletop when coated with a clear epoxy resin. Luan is inexpensive, as I said, and very easy to work with, yet in combination with epoxy can yield some amazing cosmetic and structural results. The boat's electrical system is 100% DIY. We found that wire and other electrical basics can often be gotten for huge discounts at marine swap meets from boaters who have finished a wiring project and inevitably have wire and other electrical components left over. After a while, we got good at finding deals on electrical equipment and began to experiment with different ideas. One example was the utilization of inexpensive remote control functionality that allowed us to control critical on-deck lighting from anywhere on the boat while under sail. Really handy in an emergency. You can get inexpensive wireless remote setups on eBay or Amazon. By the way, you can see how versatile PVC is here in this powerful DIY bow spotlight installation. Our spotlight is an inexpensive, high-powered, waterproof LED version for off-road vehicles that draws just 2 amps and is mounted on an epoxy PVC base held in place with stainless steel hose clamps, a configuration that has worked flawlessly over the past several years, even in the roughest sea conditions. The networked navigational electronics on the vessel helps to make it possible for one person to sail this boat over long distances. I won't go into too many particulars here, but we really focused on our online shopping to find the best deals on all of our electronics, each of which was purchased individually over time. It really paid off taking our time with the purchases and the installation. Interesting side note, if you are more interested in land-based moving tiny home solutions, remember too that a good GPS system, Wi-Fi access strategy, communication strategy when you're not within range of a cell tower, for example, a CB radio or a ham radio transceiver, and your fluency with all things mechanical could save your life. By the way, despite the weight that we've added to the boat in order to make it a comfortable home, she still sails quite well. Here you can see her averaging close to 7 knots on one of our sails to Molokai. It's probably beyond the scope of this video to go over all of the upgrades that were made, but suffice it to say that the boat has turned out to be a very comfortable home and the magic carpet that we had hoped for, allowing for voyages to some of the most beautiful destinations in the Pacific Ocean. Places like, for example, Kaneohe Bay on the island of Oahu. We make regular visits to what we think is one of the more beautiful destinations in Hawaii, Kaneohe Bay. Here it's possible to see whales breaching and turtles and manta rays swimming at the surface of the water. Kaneohe Bay is a magical place surrounded by incredible beauty. I hope that one of the takeaways from this video might be an understanding that these kinds of dreams need not cost a lot of money and may end up providing the owner with some pretty amazing adventures as well as a comfortable home. Whether your dream is to make a life for yourselves in a rural setting way out in the country somewhere, or out in the wilderness for that matter, the more important ingredient is the passion that drives you, careful planning, and the acquisition of knowledge about what it is you're trying to do. Just throwing money at something may not yield the results that you were looking for, obviously. A passion for achieving your dream will drive your education, and the money will come when it's needed, guaranteed. Life is short. We kind of felt like it was important to do some of our dreams, despite the fact that we had relatively little money when we began. I'm not going to say that the project was easy. There was definitely some sweat and some stress involved, for sure. But staying focused and in the moment made the project doable. Just an observation, but for some reason some of us have bought into the illusion that we need sumptuous amounts of space under roof in order to be happy. The mainstream idea about suitable habitation nowadays, close to electrical grids and water and sewer mains, comes with a big caveat. It's really expensive. You can be sure that a good chunk of your paycheck will always go towards paying for any on-the-grid accommodations, leaving you with little in the way of savings or money that you can put towards the things that you would really like to do in your life. Thanks to technology innovation and a shifting consciousness, there are many off-the-grid habitation options available today. More than ever, there is greater potential for a comfortable life with less stress and more time to pursue a passion. I think the first step is to allow yourself to think out of the box, and then explore the possibilities. Thanks for watching, and no matter who or where you are, we wish you all the best of luck in fulfilling all of your wildest dreams.